to At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Erik.
Cleveland! Hey everybody, welcome into At the Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host Erik, and I'm joined by my co-host Noah, and you can join us at the office as well. Send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or X, or you can call or text the show at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Noah, cool shirt and good timing. How you doing tonight?
Thanks, man. It's perfect timing. Shout out Shador Sanders for the song title right there. It was the Brickyard yesterday, and we had a historic Brickyard, the first black racer to win it. It was a great race, and this is one of my favorite vintage shirts, so I threw it on today, and it was great timing. It is great timing. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk sports with you, but I'm also excited because we have a slight change of schedule this week. There's going to be no Wednesday show this week, but we will be live from Hofbrauhaus this Saturday at 1 p.m. for Full Count and Full Steins. I'm really excited. People could come out and pregame with us, watch the show live. Afterward, we're going to be hanging out, for sure, doing some shot skis if I had to place my money on it. So Saturday, 1 p.m., I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too, man. This is our second live show in the history of the channel, and this is going to be a fun one. Obviously, there's been some Guardians news in the works today that we'll get to at a later date, but post MLB trade deadline, obviously Browns training camp going on. There's plenty of things for us to sit there and talk about in that beautiful beer garden, and I can't wait to hold some steins with you and drink some steins with you, man.
Absolutely, and you're right. Look out for that Class A video tomorrow because we are going to touch on it, just not tonight. That said, you ready to get into it?
I'm always ready to talk Cleveland Browns, my friend. Let's get it.
All right, let's go. Two topics tonight, but before we get into it, At the Office is sponsored by D&D Meadery, the finest mead in Northeast Ohio. Derek and Dominic, twin brothers with a passion for craftsmanship. They took their love for winemaking straight from their ancestors in Germany, which kind of goes along with our Hofbrauhaus live show. And they brought it here to share with all of us. It's centuries of tradition bottled up for you to enjoy, bringing an ancient drink back to life. I got to tell you, it's good stuff. Here's the best part. If you use our code @the-office CLE, terrible code, but it is @the-office CLE. Use that code when you order and you'll get an extra 5% off your order. And if you order 2 or more bottles, you'll get this free shot glass. Ask Noah. It is not dishwasher safe.
No, it is not.
Visit dndmeadery.org. You can find a retail location or just purchase online, and you can use that code to get 5% off. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. Okay, Browns training camp continues, and there is a lot to talk about. Between injuries, standout rookies, and even a surprise retirement, camp isn't short on storylines. Noah, I want you to start us off. Pick a topic from camp, and let's touch on it.
Yeah, we got to start it off with the most recent and most important news, in my opinion, which is the injury to Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett at the end of the Saturday practice, which I was at, and we'll have some clips of that practice as well as I did, from my Friday video. If you didn't go check that out, go check it out. It was me chopping it up by myself because Erik was busy talking about everything I saw, the sights and the sounds and whatnot on the Friday practice. Saturday practice, though, Adam Schefter actually was the one to report that Kenny Pickett had a hamstring injury that he noticed towards the end of practice. A lot of people were thinking it was maybe that run play that he had during practice. He had like an 80-yard run. Looks pretty athletic in that run. But really, it was actually on a bootleg rollout that came out later in the day, I think during the practice interviews and whatnot. And to me, it doesn't sound good because Stefanski was talking about rehabbing it, and we're going to use Kenny's strong 2 weeks to really evaluate this situation when the time comes and whatnot. What do you think about Pickett getting injured, man?
It's interesting in the sense that I really do think that there's a four-horse race going on at the quarterback position, which is wild. Andrew Barry had mentioned that all four could make the roster, um, which that sounds crazy to me too. This kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into it. Pickett was notably vying for that number one position. Him and Flacco, it was argued, would be the starter. And now, could that set him back quite a bit? I think it could. It makes the race a lot more interesting. I don't think Flacco's a dick by any means, but he's got to be smiling a little bit on the inside.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting, I think, for the rookie quarterback competition that is going to be going on. Shador Sanders has had now two practices in a row that he's looked pretty damn good. Saturday, he was the highlight of the show, throwing touchdown passes, looking good, moving good, taking his time, making the right reads, looking off defenders or whatnot. It was really a great camp for him Saturday, and he just continued to parlay that into success in today's camp Monday, full pads in Berea. He had a lot of great balls, and I'm really interested to see how quickly he will move into that first team spot for reps because he didn't do it today. Go ahead, E.
And you know what? I mean, there's our boy Noah on Spectrum News, which is great. But you know what? It's good for Gabriel and Sanders as well because they're going to get more reps. Gabriel, of course, has already seen some first team reps. He's looking really good, I got to say. But to your point, Shador Sanders, he kind of came in behind those three, and he's been working a lot to improve. Um, I think Dylan Gabriel's impressed more, in my opinion. He's shown a lot of accuracy. He's shown a lot of good instinct there. Uh, Kenny Pickett, even, I mean, did you mention he had that 45-yard run?
Yeah,
Um,
I said 80. I exacerbated it a little bit, or however, whatever word, fake adjective you want to throw in there.
exaggerated would have worked too. Um, but Kenny Pickett showed that with his legs. So I don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. I really don't. I don't
Listen,
know. It's
man.
anyone's guess at this point.
So I was boots on the ground, right? I got to have my
You
boots on the
were?
ground moment of being at training camp. And I am not a hater. I, at the end of the day, am a Cleveland Browns fan. I said this in the Friday video. I want there to be a good quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I don't care if it's Shador. I don't care if it's Joe in his 50s. I don't care if it's Kenny Small Hands Pickett. I don't care if it's Dylan can't
Okay,
see over the
hold on
line
though.
Gabriel. What?
This coming from the guy that bought a $50 Shador Sanders t-shirt, $50 before he was even drafted.
That was a decision that was made after a few libations because
The
I was
best of
playing
it,
in and
sure.
leaning into a hype that me, you, and John had on the show. Happens to the best of us. Regardless, I don't, at the end of the day, yes, I think Shador Sanders, as you to an extent did and John to an extent did, thought he had the ability to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. So I was a fan of the Browns taking him. Now he ended up in our lap in the fifth round instead of second overall, which is great because then we get Mason Graham. We don't need to go down that. There is something today about Shador Sanders that I did find interesting, and that is the fact that for the first time, you could say it's the injury, you can say it's whatever else, instead of being the third quarterback to go in or the fourth quarterback to go in always, during team reps today, Shador was the second quarterback to go in. Flacco had his five, Shador went in right away. Sign of maybe some progress in him not throwing dump offs to trainers like he was the other day? You tell me.
When do you think we'll have an answer? Because so the Browns have joint practices next week in Carolina, and then the week after that they'll be doing the same in Philly. Obviously, I would imagine they're going to have that starter named before their preseason finale, which there's only three preseason games, of course. So when is that? When do we know?
I don't know when we know. I don't think they know when we know because it's a toss up. I think they don't want to just automatically defer to Joe Flacco. As the injury has kind of seen, Kevin Stefanski said he had an MRI on his hamstring, by the way. That was a thing. And some of the news, this is obviously Kenny Pickett, some of the news also points to them having to do another MRI, which is never a good sign because that means there's swelling and whatnot that needs to go down so they can actually see what's wrong. I don't think they know yet. I think they're hoping one of the younger quarterbacks at the time, Pickett, Gabriel, or Sanders, stands out so they don't have to worry about defaulting to Flacco. But if it comes down to 3 preseason games down and we're looking at the 2 weeks before the season starts, they'll name Flacco at least for the first couple games because that's the safest option. Erik, you also mentioned something about Dylan Gabriel. You've seen some clips that you've liked about him so far.
Yeah, definitely. Why? You
So
disagree?
I disagree from my boots on the ground perspective. And
Okay.
that comes from one angle where I am standing on the corner of basically where the end zone is on the main practice field. And I see the pocket collapse on Dylan Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And in the view of me being able to see it as the way I watch film, which is the all 22 angle, there was no way he could see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of those moments that I witnessed during my time in Berea for training camp
You're
that
talking
makes
because of his
me,
height?
because of his height, the ability and the need to consistently roll out of the pocket to even be able to make a deep throw scares me to the point that I don't know what his worth is exactly in terms of an NFL offense because he doesn't have that elite trait. He doesn't have that trait that makes a short quarterback stand out like we've
Like
seen with some of the
Russ
other. Yes, exactly.
in his prime. I want to switch a little bit. That's fair criticism. I want to switch a little bit to stay on the offense just for now. But somebody that's impressing me right now is Harold Fannin Jr. Um, Tight end. Um, he started as a safety in high school. I don't know if you knew that. But he's going to complement Njoku pretty well. Njoku will be that traditional wide tight end. Um, but I think he's going to be a weapon. What do you think?
I think he's going to be a weapon too, especially with us going back to that 12, 13, multiple tight ends, multiple back sets that Kevin Stefanski is known for. I think he's going to be a fantastic addition to that because he reminds me so much of the prospect that David Njoku was when Njoku came out. Skinny, kind of small to play tight end, honestly could take some slot reps and you can just mold them and grow them into what Njoku is now and even potentially better with Harold Fannin because he has a lot more of the raw potential compared to what Njoku did. Njoku was a first rounder because he was plug and play, could play some reps.
Right.
Harold Fannin in the third round for a reason. I want to ask you about someone because there's a guy that has been jumping off the page. We've talked about him, of course, here on the channel, but it's been all over the place. I think this guy is going to become the Cleveland Browns preseason darling that we have every season, and that is one Luke Floria from Kent State. Have you seen some of his clips lately?
I have, and yeah, I think we touched on it last week, actually. I'm so excited for this kid. Undrafted, free agent, picked him up, obviously local kid, and he's impressed so far, especially in a team where we're a little weak at the position. Obviously, I think talking about running multiple tight end sets, we like to do that anyway in a Stefanski offense, but I think we're going to have to do it by necessity. But this kid has impressed.
He has been absolutely awesome. Every time I feel like you see a touchdown pass that isn't to like one of the main players, it's this kid. It's him and the
Yeah.
fourth string tight end. I've seen a lot too, but it has been mainly this kid. He has looked absolutely awesome during training camp. He is in the right position group because we don't have a lot of wide receivers. So for him to
Mm-mm.
make the 53 man roster with how he's performing is not absolutely unrealistic. And at the very least, I think he's carved himself out a spot on the practice squad for the time being moving forward, which is awesome for him because you don't always see that with MAC players, man. And a hometown kid, a hometown college kid as well. Moving into the orange and brown, it's a feel good story. And I think everybody's going to continue to fall in love with one number 37. And I chuckle because wide receiver number 37 is just asinine to me.
Right, the new numbering. Well, it's not really new anymore, but it is weird. I will say that I think that this is still a position where the Browns will be looking to add, whether through trade. Well, it would have to be through trade or picking somebody up, but I don't think they're quite in the form of receiver that you see now on the current roster. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me. I don't remember who exactly I was listening to today who was talking about wide receivers. So apologize for me, taking a take a little bit and not giving credit where credit's due. But it feels like every year we do this where we think they're going to add another one, and they're always just set with having one wide receiver that is their guy. And I think they think Jerry Judy's that guy, and they showed that this year. So I'm curious to see if they'll add another wide receiver. I hope so as a Browns fan, another true name wide receiver. Of course, everybody talks about Terry McLaurin because he's a Buckeye and he's
Right.
having contract disputes right now, but we'll see. I hope you're right, but I don't feel as confident.
Well, they also added Deontay Johnson, and I know he's not really worked out in the past, but he could be another really solid option. Amari Cooper's still out there. I'm just saying.
I don't want Cooper. If we did, I've been happy with Deontay Johnson solely for the fact that we have not seen him in the news so far. I feel like when shit hits the fan with him, it is so quick that shit hits the fan. And the fact that
Right.
we are a couple weeks into camp now and he's made it through OTAs and mandatory minis and all of that, it's a good sign for me. It's not a telltale sign though.
All right, I want to stick with the Browns, but let's switch to the defensive side of the ball because
Yes.
um, Carson Schwessinger, he's impressing. He's hitting the ground running. Of course, Jordan Hicks announces that he's retiring. Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah is dealing with injury. So this has kind of opened the door for this second rounder to be a big part of Jim Schwartz's offense or defense rather. And honestly, he could be a guy that gets the green dot.
I don't know if he'll get the green dot in year one. I think very soon after that, he has the ability to. He has been flat out awesome. And I'm glad you brought him up because he's one of my notes as well. He has looked amazing, whether it be, first of all, where I was sitting for both days of training camp, the linebackers were practicing in front of me, like literally right in front of me for a majority of the time. So I got a lot of time with him and Jerome Baker and Devin Bush and company. Mohamed Diambite. Yes, I can say his name right. He has looked awesome. Today he had an awesome play. First day of full pads, had a blow up kind of tackle on Dylan Sampson right in the hole, right on the line of scrimmage. He looked fantastic. And I want to add real quick too, shout out Kevin Stefanski, man. He said we were bringing the intensity at camp today. They looked intense today compared to the cupcake training camps that we've had in years past. But Swessinger, 2 thumbs up. Shout out to John for calling him out as a Cleveland Brown in February or whatever that mock draft
Right.
was, Erik.
Yeah, he did for sure. Defensive line's looking really good too. Uh,
Yes.
Listen, when I give my predictions and people think I'm crazy because I'm saying the Browns are going to win more than 5 games, it really comes down to this defense. And yes, I agree. I'm not sure what we're going to see on offense. But this could be the strongest unit, the defensive line on the roster. Obviously, you have Myles Garrett, but Malik Collins and Mason Graham have been fitting well on the interior. Um, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen here. There's a few others, that 2023 fourth rounder, Isaiah McGuire.
Yep.
Um, Someone else
I've heard
I'm
good things
blanking on.
about I've heard great things about Joe Troyan Schweinke. I think I said that right as well. He has looked pretty good in terms of pass rush
Lining
situations, and
up
he was that.
opposite Garrett.
Yeah, and there was times where Garrett, they didn't even have him take the team reps, which I think is more for the confidence of tackles and whatnot. They're just managing the monster that is Miles. But what I've seen is that some of these ends have done a fantastic job so far filling in that gap.
I am getting excited. I don't know if it's just football season in general. I'm not trying to wish away summer, but I got to tell you, every day that passes, I kind of can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I want to ask you one more question and just kind of go back to it because I feel like we jumbled the quarterbacks there a little bit. I want to ask you, when do you think we see Shador Sanders take reps with the first team,
With the first team,
especially with the Kenny Pickett injury going on now?
I think soon. I think he's going to get some reps in soon. I would say, yeah, I would say very soon. It'll be interesting to see in these preseason games as well what that looks like and who gets
Yeah.
reps where. Obviously, Flacco's not going to take a ton of reps in preseason. So I think you're going to see a lot of Gabriel and a lot of Sanders in those games, which will be a pretty good test.
Yes, I cannot wait. I think we are going to see Sanders by the end of the week get some first team reps because he's been lighting it up. We had a text in from a 216 number asking if we are going to cover the MRI update by that Hofbrauhaus show. And yes, we will obviously talk about what's going on with Kenny Pickett during the Hofbrauhaus show. We will be talking baseball and Browns training camp. That is the gist of that show. What other headlines float in there between now and then? Well, your guess is as good as ours.
Yeah, and we can riff. If you're in the crowd, just shout your question out. We'll hear you and we'll throw it in. That is this Saturday though, which I'm looking forward to. Okay, Noah, I want to keep talking Browns when we come back, but we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after this. Welcome back to At the Office. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and check us out on Instagram and TikTok. All of our socials are the @ symbol, the Office CLE. So follow us there. We got some new merch that we're trying to slowly roll out. We'll have a new website with it soon. You can see some of that new merch though in person. I'll be rocking a new shirt that you guys haven't seen yet on Saturday at the live show. So be on the lookout, but we will get that soon. That is at theofficecle.com, at theofficecle.com, where you can
Real
get gear
quick.
from your favorite show.
Real quick, too, E, I just want to shout out. I know on the show we've put a deadline of August 1st. I think we are tabling that because we have some behind the scenes stuff going on right now that we need to work out, but it is coming. We absolutely promise.
Here's the cool thing. We have been designing merch, and some of it's really cool. Like the shirt I'm going to wear Saturday is a pickleball inspired at the office merch.
I didn't know you realized or you ordered that already. I didn't even realize that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so there is a process here. It's that we want to build out and switch over websites, and that is not something that happens quickly when we all have regular jobs and trying to do a show and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are going to get it, and it is on my list to add even more designs, some football designs, some baseball designs. My mom wants one with the hot dogs on it for the Guardian, so you'll see that. Maybe something inspired by the recent headlines Noah and I were talking about. So there is a lot of cool merch coming. We're working on it. We got you. It'll be for sale soon. All right. Let's get into our final topic, Noah, because Colin Cowherd had some really interesting and explosive comments about the Browns and their QB situation, claiming that a new coach and quarterback combo could be on the horizon for next year. The QB, Arch Manning. The coach, Nick Saban. Why don't you roll his comments, because that's crazy.
In fact, this is the worst kept secret in the South. Haslam, Jimmy, owner of the Browns, huge SEC Tennessee booster, leans heavily on the Manning family. Very close to the Manning family. Yes, that's not make-believe. Arch Manning is part of the Manning family, and this is where Nick Saban comes in. Saban is incredibly close to not only Jimmy Haslam, but Saban's close to the Manning family as well. And so Saban, if he could land, I'm told, a top quarterback like Harbaugh going to the Chargers for Herbert, he would take a phone call for the NFL. And there are two teams guaranteed to be awful this year in the NFL. Cleveland and the Saints. Nick Saban has coached in Cleveland with the Browns under the Belichick staff, and he coached at LSU. This is not a conspiracy theory. Haslam's circle of trust, according to an article in The Athletic last year, is the Manning family and Jimmy Sexton and Bill Parcells. Sexton is Nick Saban's agent. So the Mannings are royalty in New Orleans. The Children's Hospital in New Orleans is called the Mannings.
Right.
Listen, I'm going to just go in real quick because there's one line in there that discredits his whole take, in my opinion. He's talking about the agent Sexton, right? That is Nick Saban's agent or whatever. You know who else his agent is Sexton? Kevin Stefanski.
Kevin Stefanski, yeah.
Kevin Stefanski. So it makes absolutely zero sense. Now, do I think there's a chance, an inkling that Jimmy Haslam is obsessed with getting a Manning on his roster because of the Tennessee connection and blah, 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 blah? Of course he is. He's Jimmy Haslam. He wants the headline. We drafted Shador. We drafted Johnny. We drafted Baker. We draft the headline. So if none of these guys on this roster pan out, and Arch Manning's in the draft next year, you know Big Bucks Haslam is going to be like, give me Arch, and whoever the GM's ear is next year. Erik, you sent me this over the weekend. What do you think, man?
Do I think that there's a possibility that the Browns could try and draft Arch Manning? Yes. I think that is the most likely of the comments that we see here from Colin Cowherd. Do I think that Nick Saban, who is 73 years young, and listen, Pete Carroll's older than him, if I'm not mistaken. Do I think that Nick Saban comes out of retirement to coach the Cleveland Browns? Hell no. This is first of all, this gives, my brother's cousin's uncle's nephew
right
texted me about, those text chains that are bullshit. This is giving that. First of all, think of it from Nick Saban's point of view. Number one, he did already try the NFL, and it didn't really work out for him as head coach at Miami. Is there some part of him that maybe wants to prove himself in the NFL?
100%.
Maybe, sure. But a bigger part of him knows that he has one of the best legacies in football of all time. We're talking Bear Bryant kind of status. And why he would put that at risk to coach the Browns. Listen, I'll tell you this. If Nick Saban and Arch Manning come in and win a Super Bowl for the Browns, you're the greatest football coach in the history of football. I don't even care. Set aside Jim Brown, set aside Woody Hayes, both of which are behind me. You can't see right now. You would be the greatest coach in football history, including Vince Lombardi. But it's not going to happen. We're living in fantasy land. Colin Cowherd wants clicks. That's it. I'll be honest with you. And the man flip-flops back and forth so much. I think Shador Sanders is going to be great because now Cowherd's on the train that he doesn't trust Sanders after the whole ticket thing. By the way, he loved him at first. By the way, he hated Baker.
Listen, I got to just dive in for a second because Colin Cowherd, since the Baker stuff, has been one of my least favorite media personalities because he leans into the headline. And I know it's his job. I know that's his thing. That's everybody who's trying to be in sports media's job, is to get the headline, to get the clicks, blase, blase, blah. But when it is so blatant and you are referencing an athletic article and you're talking about an agent who's also the agent of the head coach of the team that you're trying to put a conspiracy theory over, and you flip-flop back and forth on this team all the time to the point where an entire city views you as a public enemy, you're doing too much, bro. You are just doing too much. And he frustrates me. I used to listen to him almost daily back in, I'm going to say high school. Sorry, Erik. Before the Baker draft. And now it's so frustrating to listen to him talk and speak about our city because he doesn't even care. He just wants to piss us off.
This is a guy who said that the New England Patriots never won back-to-back Super Bowls during Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's run with the team. Do I need to say anything else? This guy's a moron.
Yeah, he did his job. We're talking about him, right? So
he
good job,
speaks
Colin,
very well. So,
yes.
If I said, I have a cousin that's close to Jimmy Haslam, and he knows what's going to happen with the quarterback. Dramatic pause. Like, he delivers it well, but he's full of shit.
For our viewers that are listening to just the audio only or have us on in the background or whatever, the faces he's making to the aside to the producer and stuff to build the suspense, it's TV drama, and that's what gets me frustrated with national media in sports in general. And that is the biggest problem I have with it, is because it's all for clicks. It's all for I want to know the information. Yes, I want to listen to some opinion stuff based off of people who have seen it. But dude, you're not even paying attention to us 365. How do you know what Jimmy Haslam's real inner circle is compared to even a Mary Kay who pisses off people in the local media? It's just baffling to me.
He has zero clue. If he was friends with Nick Saban's brother, maybe I would believe him a little more. But just because I think the Manning part of it could be true. Who wouldn't want a Manning on their roster, assuming he looks good this year? Arch Manning hasn't even played a full season of college football, by the way. We have no idea. That Ohio State defense might rip his ass a new one in the first game. Please. But we haven't even seen him yet, really. And he's throwing whatever will stick out there and trying to get clicks.
It's so frustrating. I just cannot do with Colin Cowherd. Congrats, dude. You got us to talk about it. You've gotten a lot of the local media here to talk about it. So good for you. You got your clicks, but get out of our hair, please.
So setting the Colin Cowherd's a douchebag part aside for a second, would you want to see a Nick Saban Arch Manning combination for the Cleveland Browns?
I don't want 70-year-old Nick Manning, Nick Saban to be our head coach. I have zero care in the world. I have a lot of faith in Kevin Stefanski as a coach through and through. Andrew Berry's the part of the brain trust that makes me scratch my head right now, but I don't think that we have seen anything that should point towards Kevin Stefanski losing his job, barring a catastrophic 0-17 season. We can open that can of worms if you want to.
Kind of.
Okay, what is the line for you?
It's not that it's a win-loss line. When it comes to Kevin Stefanski, I think that he's a pretty good offensive mind. My issue with him stems primarily from in-game decision-making. What we see from Kevin Stefanski is a really good first series. The scripted series that everyone has planned out prior to the game. He does really well at that. It falls off after. Some of the play calling, which he shouldn't even have, but some of the play calling is terrible.
Do you remember what happened when he gave up play calling last year? Do you remember what happened when we moved away from his system?
Noah. I mean, I get what you're
saying.
We
moved away from his system and everything went to shit. We had no quarterback the year before, went through 5 of them, made the playoffs, and only lost because Joe Flacco lost his arm because he's too damn old, brother.
If Stefanski... Listen, I like that he's betting on himself. I don't like that he's calling plays and, potentially wasting a timeout, or you should be focusing on other shit as head coach, but whatever. If he has a terrible season, though, you said, what's your line? He's got to win 5 or more games for sure.
I don't know about that. I think it's semantics. We're probably around the same spot where it starts to be talked about, but I think regardless, who's going to end up being the scapegoat is going to be Andrew Berry because of the roster construction and miss on draft picks. And Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time coach of the year. You can make the argument, right? And I know you have less care about a coach of the year award compared to me personally, but you can make the argument is basically what I'm saying, that Stefanski deserves another year, get him a better GM, and let's see what happens because Andrew Berry missed on X amount of picks or
So you're
whatever.
out on Berry now?
I'm not completely out on Berry. I think the case is still out. It's just gotten more and more frustrating as Quinshon Judkins pops up. And is it Bush, I think, has another case or something like that right now? I don't want to put a case on someone that doesn't, but one of the linebackers have a case.
How is this Andrew Berry's fault? Quinshon Judkins was the picture of morality at Ohio State from what we knew.
Are you more on Andrew Berry than you are on Kevin Stefanski?
Maybe.
That's crazy. And you know that's crazy because you're giving me that little smirk right now.
I'm not okay.
And now your
There's a
face is
point where
red.
we do the show
Mic
where you know
drop.
me too well, and it
Right.
doesn't work out. But maybe, listen, to answer my own question, I'm not on it either. I don't want to see Nick Saban as head coach.
Yeah.
And typically, I don't favor the coaching carousel because stats will prove that adding or firing a head coach and then adding somebody else, it doesn't improve your position or a lot in the NFL. I'm just not sure Stefanski. I wish he would appoint a great offensive coordinator. He has the same issues that Ryan Day has at times. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. I think this is a nothing headline whatsoever. And it's a part of the media circus that is this time of the NFL season, especially because of how hyped this quarterback class is next year. Erik, we got a question in the chat. Are you good? Can we answer that before we wrap, or did you have more to
Yeah.
go on this topic? Okay, cool.
No, let's
So
move on.
Dylan Northrup asks, you guys think we'll end up signing Quinshawn, or are we letting him go? That is something we didn't touch on earlier in the show when we were talking about training camp. What are your thoughts on the whole Quinshawn Judkins situation right now, my man?
I think that we're being cautious in our approach with Quinshawn, meaning that yes, they will absolutely sign him, depending on how things with court work out. Can this be settled outside of court, or is it going to be a prolonged process? Because I can tell you right now what the Browns are afraid of. They're afraid of not signing him and cutting him. And then a year from now, or not even a year, 3 months from now, another team picking him up. And we just lost out on our draft pick without us doing all due diligence. That's why you haven't heard anything yet. I think it just depends how this is going to continue to play out, but there is a possibility that we'll sign him.
I still think we're going to sign him. I think they're kind of letting the process play out a little bit. I don't know if they know that they're trying to settle behind the scenes just to get this, swept under the rug as professional athletes do. And then he'll just serve his 4 to 6 games and then we'll move on with this, hopefully, in their eyes. Again, I'm speaking for them. I obviously don't condone Judkins' actions whatsoever, but I think we're signing him 100% still. There's no way you don't sign him, barring like we get a video like the Ray Rice situation back in the day or something like that, where it is absolutely egregiously horrible and he's going to get blackballed from the league anyway.
Or Adrian Peterson. By the way, shout out Barry, who added that, hey, my uncle said Ryan Day is coming next year, because that is as much credibility as Colin Cowherd, and I love it.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Noah, before we get out of here, do you have anything else to add tonight?
Yeah, I got a couple little tidbits I want to throw out there real quick. Hamilton in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Congrats as a continuous face of the Guardians organization, despite all the negativity that's going on. That's a bright spot.
I was so confused, by the way, for a second, because our third co-host, missed a show because of Hamilton, the play, recently, and that's where I thought you were going with it. And I'm like, I'm not sure where you're going, but yeah, Hammy, shout out.
No, we're giving Tom Hamilton some credit for making it into the Baseball Hall of Fame while still alive. Obviously, that is a fantastic accomplishment, and he is one of, if not the best announcers, in my opinion, in the game.
We are spoiled in Cleveland when it comes, especially with baseball, when it comes to announcers. Like even TV is fantastic.
Amen, brother. Amen. I agree. I think it's been awesome, and it's
Barry,
a great
you said it,
part.
not me.
It's a great part of our Cleveland sports culture, though, is that we have some great announcers and some great local people that become announcers, whether it be former players or whatnot. It's just awesome to see, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Tidbit number 2.
I don't remember it, so we're just gonna roll. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you.
You did see Superman.
I did see Superman, and it is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, superhero movies. I thought the plot was amazing. I am a big dog person. Crypto is my new favorite character in life.
I did love Crypto.
Seeing Cleveland, the city I live in, the city I represent, represented on the big screen in such a great way and such a popular movie was so freaking awesome. It was great. I'm glad I finally had the time. Me and Bree, my girlfriend, had the time to go out and see it. If you haven't, and you're a Clevelander and you're a diehard like me, like Erik, like the people in our comments, you definitely got to go check that movie out because it is worth every penny of that overpriced movie ticket and that overpriced popcorn.
Let me bend your mind a little bit. I haven't seen it yet, but I was told recently by somebody that I do trust that she said specifically Fantastic Four is a better movie. Superman's cool because of the Cleveland stuff, but Fantastic Four is better. I can't
I
wrap my head around that because I don't care about them at all,
Neither do I.
but I want to
Alyssa
see it now.
216, a friend of the show, has been talking up that movie for a minute, so maybe I'll have to spin the block and go see that as well. Just because I've been kind of light on my superhero movies lately. Ever since like Endgame, it just hasn't hit the same for me. And
Too
Superman
much.
scratched that itch. Superman scratched the itch for me though. I'm kind of back. I want like a DC universe. I'm ready for the whole thing. Give me Supergirl, Superwoman, whatever it'll be. I'm ready to go.
I'll watch anything James Gunn does because the Guardians of the Galaxy movies were my favorite out of the entire Avengers. I mean, like Endgame was awesome, whatever, but he does such a good job, so I'll watch anything he does. And he did kill it with Superman, but I'm still kind of over it. It's too much. It's played out.
It's fair. That's totally fair. But Superman, for me, has brought me a little bit above the Man of Steel.
All right. Well, we got to get out of here. So thank you so much for joining us at the office, sponsored by D&D Meadery. Don't forget to subscribe or hit that download button if you're listening to the audio only version of our show. And make sure to check us out on all of our socials, which are the @symbol, the office CLE. We will see you all next Saturday. No Wednesday show, but Saturday live from Hofbrauhaus at 1 p.m., where you could come hang out, have a drink with us, watch the live show. The debate never ends, but sadly, the show does for now. We'll see you next time.